Alright guys, good morning. Today we're going to be talking about Unit 8B review. Make sure that you guys are all prepared for this celebration of learning that is coming up this weekend. Make sure that you guys are taking this test. All assignments are due on Sundays at 11:59 p.m. You guys will have an hour and 30 minutes for this celebration, so make sure that you guys put your best effort forward. They'll all be on Schoology, so as long as you guys are making sure that you're all caught up with that, you should be good to go. So let's go ahead and get started. Make sure that you guys are all ready for this. So the formulas that you'll need to know for this upcoming test. So again, these are the important formulas. We're focusing on surface area this time through. So surface area of pyramids is equal to big B, which is base, plus 1/2 the perimeter times the slant height, L. For a right cone, same type of thing. Surface area is equal to 1/2 times 2 pi r times L plus pi r squared. Or if you want to simplify it, I much prefer the pi RL plus pi r squared. That'll make it a lot easier. For a right cylinder, we have 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi RH. For a right prism, we have 2b plus p times h. And lastly, for a sphere, we have 4 pi r squared. I also include the volume of a sphere in here, 4/3 pi r cubed. You should know that one. That one you'll probably need to use on the test as well. So make sure that you know how to find both the slant height and the lateral area. I'm sorry, not the slant height, the surface area and the lateral area. Make sure that you guys know how to find both of those and you'll be good to go. This is the best method for you guys to study this up. And again, I would recommend using this equation right there. Surface area is equal to pi RL plus pi r squared instead of this 1/2 2 pi r times L plus pi r squared. And again, the key for each variable is right up here. So make sure that you guys study this up. Make sure that you guys are comfortable with these before you take the test. It will greatly benefit you guys to know these formulas. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So select the three-dimensional figure that can be made from the given net. And we got two examples here. So this first one, I noticed that we have a triangle as our base. And if I fold all of these up along these solid lines here, they'd form and meet at a single point. So if I have a shape as a base, and they meet at a single point, I call this a triangular pyramid. It's a triangular pyramid. As for this other shape over here, for the second example, well again, if I fold all of these boxes up, and they'll all land around this base. I have two bases here, so I know that these are my bases, these pentagons. They would actually create, since it's the same base on either side, it'd create a prism. So this is a pentagonal prism. So those are our two shapes there. The three-dimensional figure is a triangular pyramid on the left, and a pentagonal prism on the right. Next up, find the lateral area and surface area of the prism. So this is very similar to how your test is going to be looking. So keep that in mind. So to find the lateral area, well, to find the surface area, we need to find the lateral area first. So surface area is equal to our perimeter times our height plus 2 times the area of our base. In this case, we have a rectangular prism here. So I know that all sides, opposite sides will be the same. Opposite sides are the same here for us. So our perimeter would be 8 plus 8, which is 16, plus 10. So I have 8 plus 8, which is 16, plus 10. Well, that'll give me 26. Times the height of our prism, well, the height is just 3. That's the same all the way throughout. So all heights are 3, so we'll just multiply by 3 here. Plus 2 times the area of our base. Well, if we're saying that we're taking the perimeter here, then our base would be the bottom. The base would be this bottom here. So our base would be the area of this section, 5 times 8, which is 40. So 2 times 40. Now again, this first section, this is lateral area right there. So lateral area is equal to 26 times 3. Let's do that real quick. 26 times 3, well, 26 times 2 is 52. 52 plus 26 will give us 78. And then our surface area is 78 plus 80, which will give us 158. Now we don't want to forget our units. Feet squared and feet squared. On the actual test, they'll actually have these already written for you guys, so you just need to plug in the numbers. So just keep that in mind. I'm just looking for the numbers here. It should be written with the units already attached. So if you attach the units, you will miss the problem. Make sure that you know that they're already attached there. I just need the number. That's all I need. And we're good for this problem. So again, we get 78 and 158 as our answers. So go ahead and take a second, pause the video if you need to look this problem over, make sure that you understand it. If you guys have questions, make sure that you contact me and let me know. All right, next up, find the lateral area and total surface area for the cone. Answer in terms of pi. So we're going to leave our answer in terms of pi, which means at the very end of our problem, we don't multiply by pi. We just leave it as a variable. We treat it like it's the variable x, for instance. So for the surface area and lateral area of a cone, well, the surface area is equal to pi RL plus pi r squared. Now again, the L is our slant height, not our actual height. So if I look at this, I see that we have a slant height of 25. And that should be the same all the way throughout. That slant height would be 25 over here, and then we need the radius. Well, we don't have the radius. So let's go ahead and call our radius r, like we normally would. And then we see that we have, we see that we have a right triangle here. Now with this right triangle, we can use Pythagorean's theorem. So this will give us 25 squared is equal to r squared plus 20 squared. Well, 25 squared will give us 625. So 625 is equal to r squared plus 400. Now from here, we're just going to go ahead and solve for r squared. Going to go ahead and solve for r squared, and we get r is equal to 15. So 625 minus 400 will give us 225. Take the square root of both sides, and we're left with, let me go ahead and do this. R squared is equal to 225. We take the square root of both sides, and we get r is equal to 15. From there, we plug that r value and our L value from earlier into our equation. So for the lateral area, we plug it into pi times r, which is now 15, times L, which again we said was 25, as we can see from our diagram. Multiplying that all out, 25 times 15 gives us 375. And again, we're leaving our answer in terms of pi. So I don't need to write the pi out. That'll already be on the actual question. I just need the number in front. And again, do not multiply by pi here. If you do, you will get an incorrect answer. And of course, we add our units, inches squared. To find our surface area, we take our lateral area and we just add the area of our base. Well, our base is a circle this time. So we're going to add pi r squared. Now we already remember that r is 15, so we can go ahead and plug that 15 in for r. That'll give us 375 pi plus pi times 15 squared, which will end us with 600 pi inches squared. Now again, you don't need to add the pi or the inches squared to your answer. Those will already be there for you. I just need the number. All right. Next up, surface area of a sphere. Leave the answer in terms of pi once again. So if I look at this, it says that 25 pi inches squared is this circle. So that's saying that this is the area of our great circle, or a circle that goes through the center of our sphere. So I know that area is equal to pi r squared. And if we're dealing with a great circle, if I find out what the radius is of this great circle, it'll be the radius for the entire circle. So let's go ahead and do that. We know that our area is 25 pi, which is equal to pi r squared. From here, I'm going to divide both sides by pi, and the pi's will cancel each other out. So we're left with 25 equals r squared. From here, I can take the square root of both sides. The square and the square root cancel each other out, and we're left with r is equal to 5. Now, typically, it'd be plus or minus 5, but again, we're dealing with the distance. And if we're dealing with the distance, we don't want to have a negative number, because we can't have a negative distance. So we now know that our radius is 5. From here, we can plug that into the surface area formula for a sphere. Well, for a sphere, we have surface area is equal to 4 pi r squared. We know that our radius is 5, so this gives us 4 pi times 5 squared. Well, 5 squared is 25 times 4 will give us 100 pi inches squared. Now again, I only need the number. I don't need the pi or the inches squared because we're leaving our answer in terms of pi. If it said round to the 100th or round to the 10th, then I multiply by pi and plug in that answer. Since it says to leave it in terms of pi, I just need the number involved. And again, the work all laid out once again. As we can see, the pi's cancel out, the pi's cancel out, and then we take the square root of both sides, leaving us with r equals 5, and then doing the math, we end up with surface area is equal to 100 pi inches squared. Population density for this test. So, if you don't recall population density, is equal to population over the area. So, we're going to go ahead and work through this problem. Colorado has a population of 5,268,367 people. Its territory can be modeled as a rectangle approximately 280 miles by 380 miles. So they're assuming that we have a rectangular area here, and we know that the side lengths of this rectangle are 280 by 380. Find the approximate population density of Colorado. Round to the nearest whole number if necessary. So here we are rounding to the nearest whole number for this problem. So let's go ahead and get started on it. So we have density is equal to our population, 5,268,367, divided by our area. Well, our area is 280 by 380. And since I know that it is a rectangle, the area of a rectangle is length times width. So that's where we're getting 280 times 380. Well, if I multiply those out, let's go ahead and do that. 280 times 380 will give us 106,400 miles squared. From here, we can just divide these two numbers. 5,268,367 divided by 106,400, and that will give us our population density, and again, we're rounding to the nearest whole number. Let's go ahead and do this math. 367 divided by 10,6,400 will give us 49.5, and if I'm rounding to the nearest whole number, that means that I'll round up, so our answer is 49.5. If I'm rounding to the nearest whole number, that'll give us 50 people per mile squared. So in Colorado, the population density is about 50 people per mile squared. And again, here's the math for us. Use this to check your work as you go through if you need to. All right. A globe has a volume of 288 pi inches cubed. What is the surface area of the globe? Give your answer in terms of pi. So again, we're leaving it in terms of pi. Now they give us the volume. The volume is equal to 288 pi inches cubed. And we want to find surface area, which for a sphere, the globe is a sphere, is 4 pi r squared. And again, we're going to be in inches cubed. Or sorry, inches squared for this, because we're dealing with area. So inches squared versus inches cubed. Now, this is why we need to know the volume of a sphere. A volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. And I go ahead and I plug in my volume for V. And we get 288 is equal to 4/3 pi r cubed. And I forgot my pi over here. There should be a little pi over there. From here, I'm going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 4/3, which would be 3/4. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. The 3 cancels out with the 3. The 4 cancels out with the 4. That's on the right side. On the left side, 288 times 3/4 will give us 216. And then the pi is just still hanging out there. So 216 pi is equal to pi r cubed. From here, I'm just going to go ahead and divide both sides by pi. The pi's cancel out, and we're left with 216 equals r cubed. Lastly, we're going to go ahead and take the cube root of both sides to get rid of the cube. So I take the cube root of both sides. The cube root of 216, let's go ahead and try this out. I hit the math button in my calculator and do 216 for the cube root. That'll give us r is equal to 6. Now that I know what r is, I can find the surface area. So I go ahead and I take that r value, I plug it back in for our surface area problem. We have surface area is equal to 4 pi times 6 squared. This will end us up with 4 pi times 36. 36 times 4 will give us 144 pi inches squared as our final answer. Now, along with this, we're leaving our answer in terms of pi, so that's why I'm not multiplying by the pi at the end. So this is my answer. All I need to enter in is 144 on the computer. Because again, we're not multiplying by pi or anything like that. All right. Here's the work. Go ahead and take a look at it if you need to. Don't forget, if I need to access the cube root here, the cube root on a TI-84, I hit the math button, and then it's number 4. It's number 4 in the math section. After I hit the math button, I go down to number 4, and then I just hit enter. Then I enter in whatever number I need to. For instance, in this case, I'd enter in 216, and I just hit enter again. All right. The density of aluminum is 2,800 kilograms per meter cubed. What is the mass of a solid object made from aluminum if its volume is 0.2 meters? So if we recall, let's go ahead and do our density. We recall that Mountain Point is over Desert Vista. So we can use this. We want to find what the mass is. So I know that mass is equal to density times volume. I know that the volume is 0.2 cubic meters, so 0.2 meters cubed times the density, which is 2,800 kilograms per meters cubed, and that'll equal our mass. Now the meters cubed and the meters cubed cancel each other out because one's on top, one's on bottom. And then I'm left with 0.2 times 2,800. So 2,800 times 0.2 will give us mass is equal to 560 kilograms. That's our answer. mass is equal to 560 kilograms. And again, we see meters cubed canceling out, and that's why we're left with our answer in just kilograms here. All right, so that's it for the test, guys. That's what will be on the test. Make sure that you guys are prepared for it. Know your surface area formulas, know your lateral areas, how to find those in the equations. Make sure that you know population density and normal density. And then the last one is just make sure that you know the volume of a sphere. If you guys got all that, you should be good to go. If you need anything, please let me know. I won't be able to help you on the test so much, but if you have questions, make sure that you're asking them. Other than that, stay safe, guys. I'll talk to you.